Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about tip culture. Tip culture, American tip culture is annoying to me. It's annoying because nowadays especially they are playing a subliminal mind game on you. It's war. They're playing with your mind. They're playing with your heads. Now let me tell you something. I've always been what I consider to be a good tipper, a great tipper. 20%. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing for eons. 20%. No questions asked. The only time I would do less than 20%, the service would have to be really not good. Really not good. Like, you don't even have to be great for me to give you 20%. It just has to be your job, right? You're serving me, 20%, boom, restaurants we're talking about. But nowadays, y'all, they make you feel like 20% is just average these days. I remember when 10% used to be the norm. It used to be like if you give a 10% tip, you was good. You was good. So for me, I'm giving a 20% tip. So this means I'm going above and beyond. I'm doing really right by people who are there to make my experience better. I don't have to go in the kitchen and go get my food and do the things, right? But like I said, nowadays they make it seem as if 20% is like, whatever, it's only 20%. At least this is what I feel. What y'all think? What y'all think? Because maybe this is just me. If you are in an industry where you get tips, what do you think about, who do you consider to be a good tipper? What do you consider to be your base? Like what should be the base minimum that you get? And then nowadays, because I might be out of touch, who do you consider to be bad tippers? Like just off of perception, prejudice, bias, whatever. Because I also remember back in my day, which could have been 5 years ago, people used to consider my people, black people, not great tippers, right? And sometimes you would feel that when you went into a restaurant, you was treated accordingly. Like sometimes they would treat you as if they knew you weren't going to give them a tip. Is that still true? Is that still the norm? But yeah, I feel like tipping and receiving a tip should still be looked at as a gift. Yes, I do think that people should tip. But what I mean, the gift should be how much you get. Like if anybody gives you above and beyond, above 10%, I feel like that should be considered a blessing to you. And anything above that should really be seen as a treat, a gift, a blessing. What y'all think about that? What y'all think about that? Because like I said, nowadays you go to a restaurant and sometimes they have the tip already added, which I don't like. But sometimes I just let them do it because sometimes they'll do 18%. Okay. That's less than what I was going to give you, but that's what you want. Great, because I'm not doing the extra work of saying in addition to. I'm not doing it because you shouldn't have did it. But I get it. We're talking about laws of averages. Laws of average says if we take out 18%, that's going to cover us for the people who won't tip or under tip. So what y'all think? Talk to me about that. Also, when you see a check, and they give you the recommendations, right? Nowadays, the recommendation doesn't even start at 10% or 15%. It usually starts at 18%, 20%, 22%, or higher. What's up with that? I don't like it. I do not like it. And then the part where I say that they're playing a subliminal mind game is because nowadays, when you go to a takeout place, like a fast food place, not all of them, but a lot of them, or a place where, you know, nobody's serving you, you're just waiting on your food or whatever, a Starbucks drive-through, for instance, and they flip the little screen around when you're paying with credit card, and it has the little tip thing. And I heard a lot of people say that they feel bad. It makes them feel bad when they see it. So kind of sometimes they feel like they're guilted into giving a tip. Not your girl. What y'all think about that? Because I don't care. I'm loud and proud. No tip. Sometimes I even say it out loud. No tip. Because I really feel like it ain't even about them. It's about you. You have to get right with your own soul. If seeing a tip suggestion makes you feel anything less than good or anything less than, even neutral, if it makes you feel any kind of way that's not neutral or higher, you got to do the subliminal work of retraining your mind to not let them train you. Don't let these people train you into giving tips that you don't feel like you should be giving a tip for. Don't do it. Okay? So for me, the whole thing is I have to feel no kind of way about pressing no tip. I'm not giving you a reason. I don't feel like I need to give you an apology. I don't feel like I have to justify it. No tip. Especially when a lot of these things are overpriced anyway. If I'm getting a small coffee and my small coffee costs me $6, that's an overpriced coffee. No tip. No tip. Be okay with that. I don't care how much money you make. Be okay with that. Because the bottom line is this. People will come back with the argument, but if they weren't there, well, guess what? If we weren't there, the company would be out of business. So you are doing your part. Anytime you go out and choose to spend your money on anything, you are doing your part. Because trust me, 0% of zero is out of business. Anytime I choose to spend money, remember, I do what I call mindful spending. So anytime I choose to support any business, I think of it as I get to support this business. I get to invest my good investment into this business. I don't care if I'm buying a piece of gum, if I'm buying a cup of coffee, or if I'm buying a full-blown meal. I'm supporting the business, and I expect the business to support me in return. And you support me by not shaming me, and you support me by thanking me for being a patron of your business. Is it a patron or patron? Yeah. That's what I expect. It's my expectations. So I'm retraining. Well, I don't have to retrain my brain. My brain's already trained, but I want y'all to retrain y'all brain if y'all feel any kinds of way. And I do want you, again, because we're living in a law of attraction. We're living in a law of balance. Like we're doing balances and reciprocity. So I do want you to be tippers in industry where tipping is a norm. That's when we're at the restaurants, because we know a lot of people aren't being paid high wages, right? So that's just part of the culture. But let me say this too. I feel like when you travel abroad, like in a lot of other countries, tipping isn't even a thing, y'all. Matter of fact, when I went to Japan and you try to tip, a lot of it look at you like, what's this? And they'll give you your money back. But I find that the more and more we're becoming these global citizens, and a lot of cultures are realizing that, Americans are tippers. Sometimes when you go to touristy places in other countries, tipping is an expectation, even though if in the rest of the country it's not. I don't like that. It's just annoying. It's a money grab. But let me give y'all another piece of food to chew on, because I heard this. I don't know what I was watching. I be watching all the things. But I heard this somewhere as far as baristas go, coffee shops, and the whole tipping thing. And of course the debate is, why should we tip at a coffee place? And a barista actually said this, and it actually makes sense. When you go out to drink at a bar and the bartender makes you a drink, you normally give that bartender a $1, $2 tip for making the drink, right? Why isn't the culture the same for when a barista is making our coffee? Yeah, they're not putting alcohol in it, but alcohol shouldn't be the thing. First of all, alcohol is the thing that will drive that price of that drink up, because it is alcohol. But yet it's normalized to tip a bartender, but we don't tip a barista. So that is some food for thought. So while I have no qualms about saying no, maybe I'll start a new thing, a new standard for myself that says, because especially when we go to our, let's say, Starbucks, and we have all these complicated drink orders, upside down, little, skinny, almond milk, oat milk, light sugar, Splendor, do this, do that, no foam, blah, 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 blah. We have these complicated drink orders. Maybe a tip is warranted. But I don't think a 20% tip is warranted. I think just like a bartender, maybe you leave a buck or two. Maybe you start carrying around in your car some ones so that you don't have to add it to a credit card or whatever. And maybe you just put it in a tip jar. Remember tip jars? Maybe that can be your norm. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. Tell me what you think about that from both ends. If you are in this industry, in a service industry, or if you're not in a service industry, what do you think? This is some food to chew on. Tipflation. Tip culture. What are our habits? What are our standards? And I'm gonna keep my junk at 20%, period. I'm not moving up to 22%, 20. It is not my job to fix inflation. No, 20%, and I still consider myself a great tip. I don't care what the next person calls me, right? But let me also say this. 20% for me is easy to figure out, right? I don't need a calculator. And it's a round off 20%, because this is what I do. 10% is easy to figure out, right? If your bill is $50, we know that 10% of 50 is $5. And you just double the 5, and that's $10. That's my rough 20%. Because I'm not doing change. I'm not figuring out change, right? If my bill is $61, technically 10% is $6.10. Take the first 2 digits, move the decimals, right? If it's $60, 10% is $6. That's $12. So if it's $61, that's $6.10. So that'll be $6.20. I'm not doing $6.20. I mean, that's $12.20. I'm not doing $12.20. I'm just going to round it down to $12. So I just do a quick math. So you don't need a calculator. You don't even got to do much to figure out what your 20% is. If you want to consider yourself a sophisticated tipper, I don't. I just keep it at 20% across the board. But this is what I also think. If you're at a restaurant that has a lower price point, I definitely believe that restaurant should get 20%. That wait staff should get 20%. A lot of times, because a lower price point means it's going to be a lower overall bill. You might eat just as much. They might come to your table more than any other place you go, but it's going to be a lower point. So therefore, 20% tip is going to be lower on a lower bill than on a bigger bill. So if it's a restaurant that charges, like, a fairly decent cost or low cost restaurant, I'm definitely leaving 20%. But you might say, hey, if I'm going to this higher price point restaurant where I get a soup and a salad, and my soup and my salad come to $80, and all they did was bring me a soup and a salad, then maybe I might want to say I do an 18% tip or a 15% tip. So that's why I say by being a sophisticated tipper, because I'm just saying, just because you have the fortune of working at a higher price point place doesn't make you more deserving of somebody who works at a place that has a lower price point. It doesn't make you any more sophisticated or any more smart or any better of a server to me. So that's what I mean by you may want to consider yourself a more sophisticated, where you do move your tip number up or down. Or maybe even if it is a lower price point establishment, let's say a Red Robin's, right? And they are serving you, maybe you go higher than 20%. Maybe you say, because the point of this bill is so low, therefore overall tipping is going to be lower. Maybe I will move it up. Maybe I will do a 30% tip. I'm just saying, food for thought, y'all. Food for thought. We're trying to be a little more sophisticated with our lives, and we're trying to be a little more mindful and thoughtful about what we're doing when it comes to our money, and more importantly, the energy we're putting behind our money. Okay? This is tipflation. The other thing I wanted to talk to y'all about is junk fees. Junk fees are those extra fees that companies may put on you That has nothing to do with the service. It has everything to do with they can because they can. For instance, late fees on a credit card is considered a junk fee, right? It has nothing to do with the service you purchase. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the credit card company says, if you don't pay me by this date, I'm going to add this price. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but the Biden administration is doing away with junk fees. And one of the things that they did actively work on right now is the junk fee of credit card late fees. On average, credit card late fees were about $32 a late fee. That's on average. Sometimes it's like $25. $25 is what I've was familiar with in the past, because y'all know we don't make late fees. So the first way to do away with junk fees is by you taking personal oath and say, I no longer pay things late. That's the first thing. But if you do, because life is life and sometimes things be happening and sometimes it just is what it is, you in a crunch, right? They said that now the max late fee that a credit card can add is $8. This is saving the people some coins. And so they are working to eradicate junk fees throughout certain industries, like cable industries. Like when you look at your bills, again, look at your bills, and you see all this extra stuff that may have nothing to do with it, and they may call it this kind of service fee or that kind of service fee or this kind of, those things they're trying to get rid of, right? So for you, your homework is to look at your bills, your cable bill, your utility bills, your food bills. Look at your bills. And if there's something you don't recognize, question it. Even if you do recognize it, question it. Because these phone calls will be logged and can be logged. And maybe somebody will hear us one day when we're questioning this BS. Okay? This is junk fees. I have this example where I went to this restaurant and they had this fee, and I'm going to put the footage right here because I don't even remember what they called it because it was creative. All right, guys, so we get the bill, and of course I noticed this right here, recovery fee. So I ask about it because it's $1.95. What is this recovery fee? Of course, the internet says the recovery fee is like the fee that a lot of restaurants started charging for the cost of the rise of all the things to include service. But here they say, oh, the recovery fee is basically because you're using a credit card. So right here it says, here's your bill if you're using a credit card. Here's your total if you don't use a credit card. So I'm just like, this is just like so freaking bogus to me. The fact that everything goes up, that they find reasons to charge for everything to include using a credit card. But look, here goes the gratuity. I normally do 20% gratuity. We're going to do an 18% gratuity because that $2 that y'all charge me, it has to come out of someplace. And I'm sorry, it's coming out of the tip. But the thing about it is I have read, because I do my Googles, that a lot of times when you question these fees, management will have it removed. But in this case, this waiter did not offer that solution or that option to me, and so I, being me, just took that option out of his tip. So where I would have left a 20% tip, I then left an 18% tip. No, I don't even know if it was 18%. I subtracted $2 from the tip. $1.95 came out of his tip. So either you're going to argue for your rights or I'm going to exercise mine. That's what it is. Okay, so take a look at junk fees and question them. And I am rooting for the Biden administration to eradicate even more junk fees for us because it's just not right. Especially, you all know that we talked about the car insurance industry just being able to raise insurance for no reason. Before, we used to be told we raise it because of your driving history, because of accidents you got into, personal things that were personal to you. But now they're saying we can just raise it because we all banded together as an industry and decided, hey, best move for us as a whole is to raise prices across the board. Can somebody start a class action lawsuit about that? Please? I ain't got time to. But one of y'all, somebody else who's not me, can somebody do that? So, oh, let me say this. I'm in the parking lot right now. Hold on. So I can do this. I can drive crazy if I want. Or not drive crazy, but stop in the middle of the parking lot if I want. Let me say this about junk fees, because I found this interesting. All right, let's just read y'all the definition. Hold on. Junk fees are defined as those hidden additions to a bill that you don't learn about until you look at the bill. So first key, look at your bill. Be it from a restaurant, a ball game, a concert, a hotel, Ticketmaster, we looking at you. Somebody do something about that too. Airline or bank. 10 specific junk fees, 10 of them, just 10, amount to $90 billion per year in the United States. $90 billion. Or more than $650 per household per year on average. That means the more you spend, you probably doing more than that. And if you spend less, you might be doing less than that. But $650 a year on average. And this was reported by the White House report last month. Oh wait, there's a hyperlink to this White House report. Y'all, let me find out. I have to read this report. I'm going to read this report. But in the meantime, that's high enough to deserve a line item in a family budget. Wow. And this equals to about 1/5 of the average household's entertainment spending. Wow. Wow. So this is saying that when you do a budget, you're probably off by 5% because of junk fees. Junk fees are taking up a slot in your life, in your budget. Y'all, look at your bills, question everything, make them phone calls, write it on your to-do list like I do. And then maybe I get around to it 3, 4, 5 months later. But it's okay, because intention. But we're getting it done. So yes, y'all, that is today's video. Thank y'all so much for riding with me to work. Y'all make my work ride more purposeful, more enjoyable. I feel like I have a reason for the season, because if I was in the house and not going to work, I probably wouldn't even get up and get dressed and look at y'all. So this is why we do this. Thank y'all for being here with me. Thumbs up, subscribe, talk to me in the comments, because I gave y'all a lot to comment about. All right. Peace. Bye.